Hello and welcome to Navigating, where we explore what shapes our world using our knowledge of journalism, media, and information. And we have, as always, Vedant here. Vedant, how are you? We talked about an AI, or we talked on AI in our one of our episodes and how we are dealing with all of this. And Zui, one of our members who is most frequently appears on this show, talked about how AI slop on Instagram can be curbed if there is some regulation, and you sent a link that points towards some kind of regulation. I read about it, and there are a lot of concerns. There are a lot of praises to it as well. But before that, I'll just ask you to give that news what it is. Explain in brief. And who introduced it? Why? What is happening? And is it going to be beneficial or not? Yeah.
So, like under the IT rules, this new thing was introduced that all content which is significantly modified or like generated from AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, it will have to be watermarked. Like there has to be some sort of watermark that specifies that or that informs users that this is AI generated content. And if it if it is something that goes against the guidelines, if it is non-consensual sexual content, like we see a lot of that these days with deep fakes, with morphed images, with certain videos of famous celebrities that get leaked, then social media companies have around, I think the deadline is 3 hours or 2 hours to take that content down if it is found to be AI generated. So basically, all AI content has to be watermarked. And if if certain content, like these are two separate rules. If certain content is uh deep fakes, morphed images, unlawful content, hateful content, content that is promotes racism or something like of that sort, then the takedown times for those have been reduced from what they were earlier. So, it was also introduced that social media companies need to inform users about these guidelines, about their privacy laws, their policies, the prohibition rules, and the recourse available to citizens once every 3 months. Earlier, they had to do it once every year, but now they have to do it once every 3 months. So this is an overall, brief of what the rules that were announced like around 3 days back, I think.
Yeah, I was actually confused about the 3 hour thing because a lot of headlines actually did not clear what it was exactly. First, I felt 3 hours, as in 3 hours from now, all the things have to be cleared. And I was like, how is that even possible? Like, how
So
are
the so yeah,
companies?
just to be clear,
Yeah.
3 hours is after the government has ordered or a court has issued an order to take it down. So it's not like
Yeah.
3 hours after
So
posting.
the thing is that if someone uploads an AI thing, that thing has to be taken down in 3 hours. So
Yes.
it's not like after the order, within 3 hours, take down every single AI thing that's there, right?
No, no, it is like that. After the code, like not every AI content is bad, right? So anything that is AI generated that does not have a watermark, that has to be taken down within, I think, 2 or 3 hours. But
But how is that?
the other
How is that
things,
possible though? How
yeah, so
with
that is
yeah
one of the concerns that,
yeah.
like I read reports that, news articles where some experts or some people in this field have talked about the concerns. So some people said that earlier the time given for this was 36 hours, and even then they were struggling due to the manpower because there is so much of content, and it does require some sort of human oversight for these processes to be completed even within 36 hours. But now their concern is that if you take that down to 3 hours and it requires human oversight, it's just not possible because there's so much of content being uploaded. It will soon have to be automated because the time is so short and human oversight will be eliminated. And then that raises the concern that if things like these are automated, it will not probably take a lot of other context into account, and it will eventually lead to just banning or censorship of any AI content that does not have a watermark.
Mhm.
Because one
Yeah.
thing that I read was that the how big the watermark should be or what the watermark should be, that has not been specified in
Yeah.
these orders. So if you make it like if you automatize it, then you are relying on AI to take down, you're relying on technology to take down this content without a lot of human oversight. So that is one of the concerns that I did read about.
Yes, because Meta, I think, yeah, this is a okay. So now we have to dive deep into why this is a solution that puts the fire out but does not actually treat the source. So first thing is, if you go back to, I think, 2024 or 2025, early 2025, Meta had announced that they will be not hiring fact checkers and not work with third parties that act as fact checkers for their content. That was the first thing that was like a really horrible thing to do from Meta, because these fact checkers sit down, look at all the content, and they determine, and obviously it does depend on their morality, their principles, and everything. But that's why these are not random people. These are actual trained journalists and actual trained psychologists, and a team that is employed by a company that works as fact checkers, where they will look at a post and they will go and look at, is it factual, is it not, and then flag that post. And then the Meta's internal team is responsible to remove that. Now, obviously, again, coming to why information is very important, because these companies actually also lie a lot. So Meta said in that and in that time period is that these fact checkers are flagging everything, and that is censoring a lot of content. But they didn't tell people that removing the post or removing the content is in Meta's hand. It's not in the fact checker's hand. Fact checkers can only flag the content and say this is not a, or this is a misinformation, or this is false, or this is like tricking the audience into thinking something else. That's the only thing that they can do. Now Meta has removed that, and I think the solution from the government is, I think, yeah, first of all, good step that they are actually looking at AI as an issue, which is a good thing. But if you are just ordering people or ordering companies to delete the content without actually giving them time to verify the content, it is very possible that they will just delete posts of common people or common artists as well, who are using AI for generating content, which is not a bad content, which is the actual issue is the deepfake thing, right? Or actual issue is basically misinformation. That has always been the case. It doesn't matter if it is generated by AI or it is generated by someone coming in front of the camera and then lying. It is about fact checking. It is about what this post is implying, whether it is important for the company to tell the audience that this could be a misinformation thing. This video could be misleading you. This video, we don't know whether this video is true or not. That's the indicator that we need to give people. So glad that this happened, but I think, yeah, this approach has to be like from the source itself, where people obviously have to be sensitized and told that, okay, don't believe a lot of things that is happening in social media. But we can't totally say that, like, use of social media only for entertainment, because social media is a legitimate second place for people to express and news to happen when the mainstream journalism or mainstream TV or whatever mainstream fact guys are not doing the job. Social media is a very legitimate platform for that news to spread and important things to spread. But like you said, the watermark is fine, but the deepfake guys, I think what they do is not just create using AI, but they will take something from AI and then use other softwares to then create that post or create that video,
Yeah.
which is again going
So
to be very difficult to identify.
yeah, so I was just reading on it. It says that like the video, like unlawful content, it has to be taken down within 3 hours of the government informing that social media company. So, like, if the government
Okay.
informs Meta or Twitter, then they have 3 hours to take down that content.
But
So,
then,
yeah.
so the government is taking the responsibility to like flag the content. Like, how will
No,
that
so
work?
basically, I think for unlawful content, like for deepfakes or something, there will be grievance of like people in charge of this, where people can file complaints that, hey, my video has, like, XYZ has been uploaded, my deepfake video is on the internet. Then those people will issue the notices to the social media companies, and then after that, they have 3 hours to take it down.
But again, the issue with fact checkers was, even though they were doing the job, but there was still a lot of criticism because these companies, it's just impossible because like you, if you look at the number, like number of posts uploaded, I'll just search this. So number of posts uploaded on Instagram per day, and it is how many posts are available per day? Wait a minute. 95 million photos and videos are shared on Instagram per day. So that's why the issue was with the fact checkers as well, that these companies were overworking fact checkers.
Exactly.
And then the issue was that, okay, these guys who are looking at the content are having serious psychological issues because they go and they look at such horrible content every time that they need breaks, they need substitutions. You can't actually expect that a person will just work 10 years into this job. So if the government is doing that, then obviously we need to read into more details
Yeah.
because the
So that
government
is
then needs
that
to,
is
yeah,
why the earlier concern from one of the people I said that it's impossible, like
yeah,
within even 36 hours. 36 hours is like 3 days. But if you bring that down to 3 hours, it's impossible for humans to actually do it. So eventually it will be automated, where where people will have companies will have to rely on technology to flag these posts or take them down. And then when you involve technology in it, you take out the human factor out from it, where a lot of the
yeah.
context can get
And yeah, and then I think mostly one of the most important things that are going to get affected is people speaking against the
yeah.
regime or against the government or against something that is, then threatening the people in power, because then that will get flagged immediately. If it is automated, even if it is something, because there are censored content has to be there, right? Because sometimes it is very important to show that, but then it depends like who is showing that. Is it a news company, is it an individual, how that photo or that image is used. But yeah, I mean, then that shouldn't happen. If it is automated, then anything that, if people want to
And then there are like
upload it,
two
yeah.
things, two aspects to it. The first one is that a lot of the creators, content creators, agencies, or everyone, like, we use ChatGPT or we use AI tools just to make our videos or make our scripts or something like that, right? So then every video, you can probably say, is has an influence of significant amount of influence of AI behind it
Yeah.
nowadays. Earlier, that was not the case. So what this brings about is, first of all, you will have to add, like, a lot of the videos nowadays you will have a chat gpt watermark, right?
Hmm.
So then that can also confuse people how much involvement of AI was in this video. That also needs to
Hmm.
be specified. Was this completely AI generated, or was just the editing or the script that was taken from AI? And then second, it also becomes easier for the government, because they control so much, just to take down any video and say that there was AI used into it. But what sort of AI? Was the AI used to actually edit the info? But then that could also be,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you say? It could also be interpreted that it was AI generated, so it was fake information. So do not trust this, because a lot of the videos on Instagram that we see, even pet videos, cat videos, dog videos, they are AI generated. And we immediately understand the difference. So then that
Yeah.
kind of factor could also be used to convince people that this was AI generated. That is why we took this down. But in reality, that AI content was just probably where someone just used
And
something to edit. AI tools were used to
yeah.
edit the video and not to alter the message of the video.
I'll also tell you that this is, I mean, why this is just not the AI issue and why this is fundamentally the way social media operates issue. Because I was once watching a reel that was showed that, okay, this, like, it was a very tiny animal, just born baby of a cat, and it was very, very small, and it was almost going to die. But then it was slowly saved, and, someone took it to the hospital, and then they were operated on this animal, and then that animal grew out to be a very good, uh, I think it was a cat or a dog, and they were very happy. And on the surface, it sounds like, or it looks like that's such a good thing. Humanity exists. I'm going to like it. I'm going to share it. And then I looked at a comment there was an activist, and she said, this guy is a pathetic person because he takes good animals and does things to them and then reverses the footage and then shows, like, because good stories do very well on social media. So he does that,
Oh, what?
and please don't encourage this person. And the second example is the same thing. I think this guy, I mean, he wasn't as brutal because he just took shots from the internet, where he again showed the same story, like, okay, accident, met with an accident, and then this squirrel was taken to the hospital, and then she is now such a good squirrel, playing with people, and she loves the owner and everything. And then someone pointed out that, what you have done, I know because I follow a lot of these accounts. You have taken multiple clips, multiple stories, and created a story of your own, because this guy did not give a disclaimer. And then he defended himself in the comments by saying, who cares? I love storytelling, and I'm telling people stories. It's a good thing. Why do you have like this? Why you're against me? And still, he went very defensive. And the thing is that you did not give a disclaimer, so you did not have good intentions in your mind. You knew that this kind of content works on Instagram, so that's why that person made it. Did not give a disclaimer that this is a story that I have created, this is multiple things, like, I'm just here to give you good vibes. Even if he had done that, I would have been okay with it, because at least he's honest, and you know what, yeah, it is a good reel, it is an enjoyable reel. Then I would have looked at it that way. So these two examples tell you that this is not just AI thing, this is a thing where the incentive, if the incentive to post something is giving a shock value or giving dopamine hits, and that's what is going to give you likes, and that is what is going to give you attention, then information, accurate information, authentic information, disclaimers, that doesn't come into the picture. Because if you give a disclaimer, people are going to not look at it in that lens. They will probably just scroll up. Yeah.
I personally really like this decision of the government because, as you said, they are actually looking at
Mm.
AI. They are actually aware about the bad effects or how people can use it. They know it needs to be regulated. So I personally feel it's a really good move by the government to actually do this. And in the end, as you said, the entire control lies in the hands of these social media companies because they are the ones who need to actually bring about these measures to ensure that people are not fooled due to AI videos or AI content. They are the ones who need to mandate every user of theirs to add a watermark. And if you do not do that, then we will just not promote your content, or we will just not, allow
Yeah.
you to post it until you do that. So that is the entire thing lies in the hands of social media companies. The most a government can do is probably issue guidelines like these to make these companies feel threatened that they have to comply with the government. Otherwise, they will just lose so much audience of theirs. So that is the most a government can do. But I think ultimately the control lies in the hands of these social media companies.
Yes,
And yeah,
because like you said, if the process of uploading something is the barrier to entry, like we say, for any business, if the barrier to post is high, like, okay, you have to mention three independent sources, you have to give the reason why you're posting this, a lot of people will stop posting, like, because these guys who do this slop thing, they have the incentive of that validation and they just do that. People like you and me won't actually do something like this. But if the barrier is high, then a lot of content will be automatically not posted. But obviously, we can't really assume that these companies, social media companies, will do that, because their intention is not free speech and all. That's just the benefit and the byproduct of what they're doing. Their aim is to get as many users as possible on the channel, give people unlimited content so that companies will look at this data and give me money to run ads for their businesses. That's the only thing that they have. So we can't do that. The next step then becomes, like you said, the government forcing disclaimers, like they did for the ads thing that you told, that if influencer wants to collaborate, they have to like mention that this is an ad. That is a good thing. Then you need to go in schools and run media literacy programs before kids get mobile phones and social media. The government has to also kind of allow, like, ask schools to comply to this program where they have to teach social media before mobile phones. They receive mobile phones and tell them, okay, this is how social media works. This is the algorithm. This is what they can do. So you have to be alert. Why you shouldn't have a public account before you turn 18, at least that should be the case, where it's not even the case. Kids have public accounts now. So this one, I think her name is Muskan or something, which she was like really into it, into, like, she burst into popularity, and obviously she was sexualizing herself and rating products and everything, and there was a big debate, like, should it happen, should it not. And then I was like, okay, all right, she can do anything that she wants. Yeah, all right, if you don't like it, don't look at it. And I was of the same thing. But then I got to know that she turned 18 after she was popular. So she was an underage girl who was uh, looked at by men and commented on her, like, appearance and breasts and whatever, and she was an underage girl. And this is like horrible from her side as well, and from the side of us as well, the audience that looks at her, doesn't care if she's an underage girl or a adult, whatever it is. So it's like there are dangers to it, there are good sides to it, but dangers are a lot if the audience is not media literate. So I think that's the second step
And
the government should do.
as we said that the companies actually don't, as you said, the companies don't care about it. So that is
Yeah.
why the government is actually taking things, like I think in France, they have banned social media for people under the age of 16. I
Hmm.
think in and some other country as well, they have done that. So when social media companies actually fail to do their jobs, is the government who has to
Yeah,
enforce
step in. Yeah.
strict guidelines, and then they probably get viewed as being shrewd or
Hmm.
authoritarians. But it's just we often fail to look at the fact that it's the social media companies who are chasing money, chasing views, who have actually failed to do their jobs. Because earlier, as you know, getting a blue tick on Instagram or Twitter was a big thing. You actually needed to submit news articles of yourselves. You have to prove that you are a credible personality that deserves to be get that blue tick, because people will then look at you as a voice that actually gives credible opinions. But now, since things have changed, Twitter, Instagram, both, they are just handing out blue ticks. If you pay a subscription fee, then it doesn't matter if you're credible or not. Even you can get it, even I can get it. They try to disguise it as, helping people,
Yeah.
trying to help them become bigger creators. But what they fail to understand is that the blue tick has so often been associated with people who are credible, that now when someone looks at an account which has a blue tick, they probably, their brain does tell them to believe their opinion irrespective of what they are talking about.
Mm.
So that is another thing which social media companies needed to keep in order. But because they are chasing money, they're just not doing their
Yeah,
basic jobs right.
I think, would it? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't help, obviously. If you look at social media as an addictive thing more than a social thing, like we look at alcohol, and alcohol is banned for people under the age of 21, and then 25 hard liquor they can consume hard liquor. And obviously, if they are caught drinking, they have punishments, because social media is a very similar thing, because it is addictive. The only reason we don't call social media addiction anymore is because everyone is addicted. If there was some part of the population that are addicted like 10 years ago, we would have talked about it and said, you know what, social media is an addiction, you shouldn't be on your phone. But it's like, now imagine everyone drinks alcohol. Who is going to say alcohol is an addiction? You would say, yeah, the entire world drinks alcohol every single day for 2 hours. It's not an addiction anymore. People won't treat it as an addiction, right? So that's the only reason we don't do that. But if we do that, then probably like France has done, okay, if till you're 16, which Facebook actually was, like, I think Facebook had this policy first, you have to be 18 above. But again, the other thing is, uh, banning alcohol under the age of 21 hasn't stopped people under the age of
Yeah, because
21
there are always
consuming alcohol.
loopholes, right? Even if
Yeah.
Facebook had that under 18 thing, I had an account when I was
Yeah.
under
I
18 school. Because you could just
1995 born,
put
by
your
the way.
fake birth date and there was no what do you say, there was no system in place to actually verify if you're that old.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My birth date was like 1980s or something, because you could just do that. They just try to show it that, hey, we are putting this, but actual measures are not taken that seriously by these companies.
Yeah, exactly. So the solution is, I think, much broader, and the 3R thing might be something that could be a beginning of things. But I think, yeah, a lot of these things have to be considered. Yeah, I think yes, that is it. Good talk, good discussion. This was a lot of times, what we have already discussed, we put on the camera and we like sort of sometimes repeat it, and it's good because obviously we articulate it. But I think this was a very unplanned thing. Like, we planned it obviously, but we didn't discuss what we are going to discuss before the episode. And I think that brings out, sometimes it does bring out opinions that we may not feel that we would have, because if we already discuss, we think on both the things and then come up with an opinion that is much more logical. But if we do it without planning, so it tells us
Yeah,
something
just
about
your
ourselves.
unfiltered thoughts.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, who are you honestly? Like, do you think genocide should happen? I mean, I don't know. Who are you honest? That will only happen if we are doing live recordings without, like, unplanned recordings. But anyways, all right,
bloopers.
yeah. And what you were saying, something?
I said you could call them bloopers
Yeah.
as it's published.
Yeah. All right. That's it. If you like this episode, do subscribe. We are one subscriber behind 50 subscribers, which should be, I mean, yeah, if you look at it that way, it isn't a very good achievement, but it's organic, man. We started like doing podcasts, and we haven't even figured out who is going to watch us, what we need to talk
Yeah,
about. We're just trying to do it consistently, and
consistent.
it's still 50 people, and I don't even know 50 people in my life that well who would like subscribe to my channel, but it's still 50, so it's good. So we just need one more, so do it if you watch it, and we will meet until next time.